for Talent Month.
Thanks for having us, Gary.
Hi Garry, how's things?
We're very
Good
yellow,
story.
aren't we? We're very yellow. It doesn't
We
do
are.
it's not doing my complexion any good, I can tell you. But Eilís, let's start with yourself. What do you do for GagaMuller?
I'm a project manager for GagaMuller. So I would be working alongside clients, especially within data centers in particular.
Right? Is she any good?
Yes.
Is she any good, Padraig? Come on, come on. It's
Uh,
okay. You're
Yeah,
within
sure, Clark,
you're
come
within
on.
you're within
to
friends here. There's only about 700 million people capable of looking at this.
be fair, so far so good. I'm the one that's been having my scorecard marked still. I'm only recent into the company, but Eilís is definitely one of the better of the graduates coming along and setting the standard for new ones coming in. So
A graduate. A graduate from what? What prepares one for to be a project manager?
I'm not entirely sure, but in terms of my university degree, so I studied architectural technology for 4 years. That was up north in Ulster University in Jordanstown. So that's where I studied for the last 4 years, and then I graduated as an architectural technologist. And from there, I had some sort of inclination to venture into BIM and the project management side of the industry. I wouldn't have been as exposed to that in university. I would have been more sort of taken on the role of a draftsman, so to speak. So it was nice then when I graduated to venture into something totally new that I hadn't done before and to broaden my horizons. It was really good.
There's not the whole point of going to college. It's like learning how to mix cement, but you
Yeah.
really want to build a house, right? You don't want to be making cement all your life. So, Michael, when you hear the word BIM, I saw you got all excited there for a moment and you're thinking data and software and, oh, moving into my department. That's
mhm.
your world, data.
Uh, Data certainly is. BIM, not so much. The interesting part about my role in GagaMuller was I came in with virtually no domain knowledge at all. Construction and digital transformation of the construction industry and 3D models. When I first came in and I had the first all hands meeting where people were presenting their models and their forecasts and all the clash detection, I was kind of thrown for a bit of a spin. I was just used to dealing with numbers on the board and just transforming and preparing data and presenting it in nice graphs. So the great thing about my role is it is domain agnostic. You can find applications for data pretty much everywhere.
Mm.
And then once you get a handle on the data and you can understand the information there, you can pretty quickly start being able to being able to talk about useful things in meetings in a domain that you previously just weren't aware of. So when I started a year ago, this was all very new to me, but through going through the data analysis, I was very quickly able to have some information that was useful to people who understood what the information represented more, but I was able to keep on track of what's the real time insights and what's the actual forecasting going on with the data there.
Well, if it's of any consolation for you, even me and others of my generation, we also still go through imposter syndrome. So you're fine. You're grand. Every day is an imposter day. Horik, so isn't that amazing? And it's one of the challenges that we always had is understand the why before you dive into the what. And what Michael has just explained is sort of understanding the why the information he's going to produce matters, helps him to produce better insights and more appropriate insights. Is that sort of the modern way of working? Is that because we were all siloed before? We were all, you're in that department and you're in that department, and you're not to talk to that department except on a Friday at 5:30 when the beer is free. Is it different? What's the difference?
I think you've put the hammer on the nail, really. Like what Michael just talked us through, and Eilís, it's kind of singular focus and siloed is maybe the approach that you get in a larger organization, where you might be focused in one area of the business. What we're trying to do, obviously, is broaden that, as Eilís has kind of alluded to as well. It's bringing in the data experts. It's bringing in people with design backgrounds, with commercial backgrounds, scheduling and planning expertise, and One of the key things that Michael said, you know, coming in as part of our all hands meeting, that's something that is good for everyone in the team. It's a meeting that we have once a week where everyone in every part of the business is presenting on the opportunities and challenges of the week and the things that they're working on. And it's a good kind of lessons learned, knowledge share, but it just gives you that exposure to go, wow, it's bigger than just this one area. But in terms of the data side of it, it's obviously it's combining the benefits of BIM and BIM modeling, but actually then giving you the real insights as to what we're doing. And upstream, what we're doing for clients is enabling them to make better decision making. So they know the true areas in terms of where, you know, the project is failing or improving, and then being able to make decisions like applying resource or you know, extra kind of in certain areas. So that's really what it's doing, or enabling.
Eventually, we had a joke earlier off air about Excel and stuff of a previous generation, but they are tools ultimately. There are new tools, there are faster tools, there are more generative tools, but unless you know how to apply the inputs or the outputs, you know, give me a wrench. I still don't know how to take a wheel off a big 20 wheeler truck. And when Eilís,
Eilís, yeah.
Pronounce it?
Eilís.
Wow.
Mine are not, so don't help.
Wow, you're going to have some real challenges when you start working with Americans and Europeans.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it? Wow. Anyway, what about you coming from college, highly educated, into what traditionally would have to be seen as quite a male?
Yeah, male-dominated sort of
Pretty
sector.
much. Now,
Yeah.
when you go on to building sites and stuff now, you see far more females, but there still is that view, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. I do venture over to the UK for meetings, and just even when you come into a meeting, it generally is, you know, 90% males at least. Now I assume maybe traditionally that would be a bit uneasy for some females coming into that environment initially, but I don't find it as a struggle. If anything, it's empowering, and it wouldn't faze me, you know, coming in, and as long as you know your stuff and you're confident in what you do, then I don't see it as a battle. And it's great because when you're out of the office as well, aside from these in-person meetings that be held every once in a while, you are interacting with the team members, so you feel it welcome and you feel at ease when you're coming into these sort of bigger scenarios with in person, so to speak. It's okay having the conversation online over Teams, but in person you feel much more welcomed and part of the team, which is nice.
And we're all trying to find, I struggle slightly sometimes in understanding like all hands and town halls and stuff. I mean, that's a different language from me, right? And I'm learning. And once we understand the language we're each speaking, then we can talk the universal language. And I think that also must be helpful is, you know, we've had the desire to have people recruited based on talent. That's it.
Yeah.
The filter, application and talent. And it's great to hear you're 1 year out of college.
Yeah, I'll be coming up to 1 year. Yeah. I've worked here for 1 year in August, so I would have graduated last July.
I hope you weren't just told to be on this call, because I know after a year out of college for me, I wouldn't even have my picture taken. Never mind going on a video. But Michael, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's kind of the important side as well. It's, you know, Eilís and Michael on this call. It's the talent that sells our business. It's not, and it's having them in a good, confident position to be able to go into those meetings, those interactions, and it's not, you know, we can do whatever we want to do, but we're as good as our last project, and we're as good as the person delivering that job. So that's kind of the most important factor, and that's why clients come back.
And does it help? I'm just thinking, Michael, to you when you say that, you know, you thought you were siloed into a certain area where you were a data jockey, but really you have a real interest probably in learning more about the business. Does that help? Does that help sort of give you ideas of career progression and what you might or might not want to do by seeing early what other people are doing? Um, you
Oh,
know,
for sure.
does it?
For
Yeah.
sure. That's the good thing about data analysis in general is it's not just a technical skill that you can do on your own in a corner and then just produce a worksheet or a PDF document that has all the answers and you'll just be left alone. You have to go out and you have to talk to people. And so it's a good mix of building things, solving problems, and then also being able to communicate those problems, because you can build the nicest dashboard with the flashiest visuals that's got all these nice little highlights on it. But if you can't communicate to teams who are busy, involved in their own work, why this is going to help them and why it's going to be useful, and work with them to continuously develop it and understand what their KPIs are, then no one's going to use your work. So it's a good mixture of time spent building my stuff and then going in to clients' offices, talking to them, understanding what their role is, what would help them in their role. And it just gives me a lot of exposure to loads of different departments and loads of different people's roles. And you very quickly understand that people have similar problems. And yeah, that's the good thing about being it, is it's quite variable in the people that you get to speak to.
And does that in itself, Padraig, cause because you're, or you'd like to think that you're at the next wave of innovative change of how to do things. Well, what that means is that you're changing something. And often the people in the room are those that you're looking to change. Either client perspectives or client's way. Oh, that's the way we've always done it. Leave it. Leave it. I mean, that. So you've got all these great skills, but then you have to, like was said by Michael, it's the interpersonal understanding of people and empathy and all this other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's the part I actually enjoy, is changing that view. You know, you're going to have a million blockers with any new change, and that's just human nature. It's culture, it's resistance to change, and you have to show people why they're doing it, why we're making the change, and it's not just, you know, you need to communicate that at every level, as a, whether you're a worksman or foreman on site, what the benefit is to them, to the commercial director or the kind of the CEO of the company. It needs to have a benefit. So you've got a view on each end. And you know, over the last 10 years or more, I'm seeing that again and again. You know, people that resist change, it's the same kind of process. And as Eilís and Michael have touched on, it's supporting the people through that journey, supporting that process. You know, processes and tools and everything, they can be the best in the world, but if, what is it, the old saying, culture eats process for breakfast, something like that. So if, you know, if you don't have it, if you don't bring on board the people, the time and investment will be wasted. So getting that right, you know, there's so many new tools out there. There's AI, there's everything else. And what we do in GagaMuller is really trying to connect all the different touch points for an organization, bring them on the journey, enlighten them, show them kind of, you know, exactly what can be achieved. It's not any one tool or software independently that's going to achieve great results for them. You need to take a step back and look at holistically, what are you trying to achieve? How are we going to get there? And actually kind of working with them through that journey and showing them benefits through it.
No, change is an interesting thing. We could talk this whole show about change, but normally it brings out fear in people. People are afraid of it because depending on where you are in your career or depending on where you are in your organization, that can either expose you or it can, you know, or you've only got 3 years left in your career. I'm not going to learn that. I'm out of here in 3 years. So it's interesting. Eilís. One of these names I'm never going to get right. Sorry, apologies in advance. What do you like and what do you not like so much about what you do?
About what I'm doing. Well, I have to say I really enjoy just the different slant that I've moved into since university. So it's a completely new experience for me, learning about clash detection, Navisworks, Power BI. So all of these different softwares and programs, these would all have been totally new to me as I started in this company. Now I could make the connection with softwares that I've used in my degree. So it was great to build that connection and apply my skill set to this job, project management. So I really enjoy not being the boss, but helping to organize a team of individuals and just striving for the best amongst the team.
Come on, give us a gory bit. Give us the gory bit. You're not like, come on, we're all waiting for it.
Stories for now.
The early morning flights, Eilís, you loved.
The early morning flights over to London, yeah, they had to be
I can't let it go. Clash detection. You can't just throw out a term like that and expect people to understand. What on God is this Formula One? Do you get involved in Formula One as well or something? What is clash detection?
So clash detection is all to do with coordination, so model coordination, which aligns with BIM as well. So my role would be collaborating models from X amount of trades, so say the architect, electrical engineer, mechanical, etc. So I will combine all of those models into one federated model for the project, and that's what I'm managing as the project manager. So my role involves clashing model elements against each other and reviewing that information and raising it as an issue at like a hold point in the project that needs to be addressed. So the aim of my game is to mitigate all these issues pre-construction, so that whenever the model is ready to be built on site, the building, then these issues will be mitigated, and ideally the construction process flows much smoother and there's less issues for the client.
So I think you're ready. I think when you're finished this, you're ready for the United Nations. Moderation and clash detection and oh my goodness, that's wonderful. Michael, I'm watching this thing at the moment on Netflix about Formula One. And you very, very quickly find out that the driver is the key guy. He's the key differentiator. They're just like computers, supercomputers on wheels, driven by analytics and data. It's a bit like what you're doing. You're that guy back in the laboratory trying to take all this piecemeal together and trying to get inside the head of the driver. It's incredible though how it all has to, as all of you have said, it all has to come together and his bum has to sit right bang in the middle and one little latitude. Do you see yourself as that sort of coachy background, or?
I'd see myself as the team presenting that data. I still think the driver ends up being the CEO that I present this to, because like the CEO, I'm sure the driver has points where he's on the track and his team are telling him, you're fine, you've got 5 minutes to finish the race, you're just going to play it safe. And he's going to go, do you know what? I know better. Your data is saying this, and I still know that I want to cut this corner. I know how to drive this car. I've been doing it for 20 years. You're not going to get one up on me just with the data. So there is a bit of push and pull, and there is a lot to be said for human intuition when people have been doing the role for a long time without the information that I'm presenting to them now.
Yeah.
But my role is in presenting that data and communicating it and then meeting them where their intuition is as well.
That's just so refreshing to hear from a data-centric person, because over the years you'd nearly have an ivory tower for the data guy and whatever his metrics and KPIs say is, whereas actually experience is the thing that we call all the mistakes that we've made in the past. And when you can take that data with the experience, you tend to come up with a more balanced view. And like Padraig, when you hear Michael and Eilís speak as if they've been here before, which genuinely you do, you're using sort of years of experience that you've learned and allowed yourselves to use. It must make your job slightly more challenging, interesting, and everything else in between, because they're really pushing you to think differently, including trying to change others outside of the company think different.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want. We want people that are going to disrupt things. You don't go anywhere if you stand still. If you stand still, you're kind of going backwards in it. And I think one of the best bit of advice that I've had in the past is surround yourself with good people. And surround yourself with the best. And Michael knows, why work for McLaren when you can work for GagaMuller, and that's what we're trying to pull on. And
you get free tickets for the Grand Prix. Come on.
Well, no, separate business. But in terms of where I'm seeing it as well, my role as such is growing a UK team at the moment. So we've got a new base in London. It's an exciting time, but building upon the same of what we have in headquarters in Dublin is getting the best people that are in the market over here. I know I have an Irish accent. That's just a coincidence. I've been in London for over 8 years, and we're building a diverse team over here as well, and kind of getting going for the same standards as what we have in Dublin, and keeping challenging the norm. And that's key to the success as well.
Well, we've come to the end of the show. It's been interesting. I think I've learned an awful lot. I've learned loads of new terms. Clash moderator. I love that one. Was it clash moderator? Was it?
Clash detection.
I'll be using that one again. Anything else that for the last 30 seconds, is there anything that what's in 5 words? What's the takeaway? 5 words. Arsenal are going to win the Champions League. No, that's 7 words. But
GagaMuller are going to conquer. And Eilís is going to be a UN peacekeeper, I think is.
Well, it's been fun. It's been interesting. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much, Eilís, Padraig, and Michael. Well done. Thank you. And best of luck with your careers. Not that you need. See you later.